Sean says, hey gang, I have some tier one links on a handful of sites Google doesn't think I own. I was thinking about running a press release for each of these sites to help boost them, but I'm wondering if it would be a footprint that they all have the same type of PR back. Yes, it would be, Sean. So don't do that. And you can very quickly see that with Majestic's tool because they have the link, the link diagram part of is part of Majestic, which will show backlinks, and you can very quickly see that. That's why I stopped once I got really back into link building again, which I hadn't been for years. But I really stopped doing that. I use press releases in one very specific way. I've talked about this dozens of times, but my favorite method for press releases is to link to Google Business Posts. And in the past, before I really got back into link building, I would use press releases to I've been publishing press releases regularly since 2014. No kidding. I've never stopped. But I would use press releases to link to the money site, link to the Google map, link to the G site, link to, Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, like all of that. And what happens is when you look at it in the link diagram, a link graph like Majestic provides, you can very quickly see that the same sources are linking to multiple and assets within, and it becomes what they call a link network, and that creates a footprint. You don't want to do that. It's okay to have a link network or a footprint from branded assets when you're interlinking branded assets. So, like again, back to what I've said, we've been talking about for forever now with Syndication Academy. We used to, it was called Syndication Academy because we used to focus on syndicating content to as many different branded assets that we could produce that would connect with IFTTT. It's not necessary as much anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm not even really doing much syndication, but where Syndication Academy is really valuable is Essie, our trainer over there. Every 2 weeks, she does an update webinar where she goes she goes through how to, she found other Web 2.0s and other web assets that we can create branded profiles on. And then she goes through the process of creating an account, optimizing the profile, and then interlinking when possible to other branded profiles. That does create a link network, but it's a branded link network. It makes sense. You're expanding your entity footprint. You're making the associations between those other branded assets to help Google identify them. And it's basically like adding nodes to the knowledge graph. We do that very intentionally. That's okay. That's different. Those are all branded assets that are interlinking to each other. But when you're talking about external backlinking, which is what you're mentioning with press releases, I focus all of my press release attention now on one asset, which is the Google Business website. And more specifically, I link to just Google Business Posts. And I use that. That way, every time I get press release links, they're always just pointing to one type of asset. So it doesn't create that footprint, that link network type of footprint that is very easily identifiable with a tool like Majestic, for example. So that's a good point. I would recommend it. No, press releases are great, but there's other ways to do it to kind of power up those tier one sites. I would recommend that you're using other, external link sources that do not in different sources, if that makes sense, to power up your tier one links. Okay.